Alright, so this has been the movie that I have been looking forward to most this entire year. The Expendables 2. I couldn't believe they did a second one. I didn't know they were going to do it, but they did it, and I'm happy. And if you're going to look at me for giving you a detailed story, I'm obviously not going to give you a detailed story because there is no story. Just like when I reviewed the last one, there was no story for that movie either. So it followed the same theme as the other one, basically bad guys doing bad things, and this group of Expendables are there to kill, explode everything that's in their path. I think the important thing that they figured out, their audience that are going to this movie are going because they want to see action. They want to see explosions, they want to see shots, they want to see fight scenes, and all of it. And so, the very beginning, you're given like a 20-minute or 30-minute just action scene that has absolutely no story whatsoever. I mean, the rest of the movie kind of has some story, but for the most part doesn't. This first opening intro scene has absolutely no story, and the reason why I feel they do this is because they're geniuses and they realize we're sitting in the seats because we want to see some explosions. They get it out of our system at the beginning so they can put a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of story into the rest of the movie. Amazing piece of work, and I love it. The cast, a little different from the last one, but not that much. So I'm not going to critique their acting abilities more so than their fighting abilities, because that's what this action movie is. Sylvester Stallone. So he's given a few fight scenes here and there, a few gun scenes, and I think he, now at his age, excels better at these gun scenes. Entering Liam Hemsworth in this movie, so you realize that, in contrast, they've come to a realization that they're old. Although Sylvester Stallone still does this good fight scenes like he's always been able to. Jason Statham does a really good job. I don't know that they use him as much as they did in the other movie, but they did use him a lot. Like maybe he had a more core piece in the other movie, though in this one he's showcasing some really cool action scenes and a really intense fight scene with one of the other guys that are the main bad guys. Terry Crews and Dolph Lundgren, now in comparison to the other movie, actually have bigger roles, and in the other movie neither one of them really did anything. This one, it's extended. They're actually a bigger part of the core team. They're used throughout the movie, and Terry Crews also throws in a lot more comedy than he did in the other one. They're both basically these big beasts, but they throw in the comedy when you get a little bit of downtime for story. Randy Couture, no improvement, no loss in his part. Our introduction of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis, I'll do them at the same time, and it was amazing to see them in there. Loved it, and also because they were introduced with Sylvester Stallone, there was a lot of comedy thrown out. Just one-liners, making fun of all their other movies. Hearing them quote things from everything from The Terminator to Rambo to Bruce Willis's Yippee-Ki-Yay. It was hilarious to hear it just referenced. It made it so this movie just kind of like pulled together a little bit more. I was expecting only action. I laughed a lot in this movie too. Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's our main bad guy, and he does a really good job as a bad guy because he's kind of extremely creepy. Has some fight scenes too. Throughout the movie, he's what's giving the story. What he's given, I felt he kind of went overboard and did extra than what was required of him in this movie. He gave us something and gave us a little bit of extra in his acting ability. Sequels, normally I dislike, and for no random reason, giving me a sequel, like, the way I'm looking at Taken 2 is just why are you doing this? There wasn't anything for you to build off of in the first one, so obviously there's no reason for another one. Paranormal Activity, for example. This one, I kind of still gave it some hype. I thought, okay, you're adding a few more 80s characters, let's go on with that. So I did actually feel like this sequel was done well. That's the beauty of this movie, I think, is because it doesn't need to change much. There wasn't any story in the first one for them to make a sequel and ruin, so there really is just giving me more action. The comparison between the two of them. Now, in the first movie, what was really highlighted for me was putting up one against the other in fight scenes, be it MMA and WWE against each other. You got to see these kind of crossovers from different movies that don't normally happen. This one, a little bit different, but still like it. The reason being is this one has a lot more of the 80s stars that we've come to know. There's all kinds of comedy surrounding action stars, and that's what became the beauty in this one. That's what I came to like, as well as obviously the action. They're both just pure action movies, pure high octane movies, and they don't stop. So it's rating time, and I'm gonna give this one, it gets a 5. I can't lie, this is probably some of the best work I've seen. Again, encores. On to the next review.